Chapter 1. Be Absolute. Dom had just finished his semester at the local college in his hometown and was now determined to enter the military like his father and grandfather before him. After long study hours during the day and working throughout the night at a meat packaging plant, he was exuberant to find out his limits in army life. Did he even have any? Confidently, he asked himself. Some people feared being called into combat, but he wasn't like that. His family had served in the war, and that's what he also wanted. His parents and grandfather had instilled one thing in his mind from the very start: do whatever the job requires. His grandfather had a common phrase that he had used with his battalion. It had morphed into a family motto: if we believe absolutely, we absolutely win. Dom took strength from these words. It gave him a singleness of mind, determination, and the faith to go forward. Dom's grandfather was with the elite Alpha Wolf squad back in his day, a proud man. He didn't just wear a uniform. The uniform was a reflection of his inner being. It was a widespread rumor that his enemies had offered bounties for every Alpha Wolf soldier killed. But like the men he served with, he felt invulnerable in service and out of it. Famously, on his acknowledgement form, when asked what he feared, he wrote, "Fear who? Fear what? I fear what becomes of the souls of those who engage me." Though army service was Dom's goal, he didn't know if he had that nature, that gritty violence that comes with combat. He knew just one thing: whatever the job, he had to perform his duty. Men like Dom looked at things differently than others. Not long after enlisting, he went to serve in combat. His upbringing and adherence to the missions proved to work in his favor, as he was quickly noticed by superior officers. A small number of soldiers, considered the most capable, were sequestered into an elite group called the T-Wolf Squad. This group was created for Black Ops, to perform infiltrations of key targets and take out enemy strongholds. Anything and everything that fell outside the lines of standard military combat, they could be called upon. They weren't chosen for any one personal criteria, but for their various and complementary abilities. They were handled by a top-secret wing of military intelligence run by General Kaufman. Dom's first assignment was to gather field intelligence. The locals and the enemy rebels had no geographical lines separating friend from foe, so the GIs in the field couldn't trust anyone. The villagers might be innocent civilians or enemy sympathizers, placing the army operation at risk. Areas that had been cleared of enemy forces could become dangerous again the following week. Dom went out into the city and surrounding areas and gathered intelligence. He realized one thing about war that he hadn't considered prior. War is not all about violence and strategies. It is far deeper than that. It is about capturing the hearts of the locals and having conviction in what his soldiers were doing there. This would do more for ending conflict than violence ever could. One morning, Dom was standing on a watchtower from within a military base. Some of the T-Wolves team were standing beside him as they discussed the unfolding battles. Mondai was standing next to him. With her perfect posture and long black hair gently simmering in the sun, she was quite the sight. She had won the military chess championship, often the gaze of many soldiers, but if they stared too long, she would make them regret it. Mondai said to the other wolves all standing there, "If we can find those rebel bunkers, I hear they are hoarding gold and have looted some of the ancient temple jewels as well. Imagine the blow to their reserves if we got that. How many people we could save. We could end this war early and, well, keep a few trophies for ourselves." She smirked as her face lit up. Eli, another one of the wolves, was standing next to Richard Thompson. Eli was sporting a snake tattoo on his forearm, with a solid hard face and intimidating eyes, replied with contempt, "I say we start dropping bombs. Anytime, day or night, doesn't matter. Kill a few civvies, but we'll flush the enemy out and we can force the locals to be on our side." He smirked with a Cheshire cat grin. General Kaufman slowly came up the stairs and caught the tail end of the conversation. They all stood to attention. "That will only serve the rebels, and it gives them more reason to gain new recruits. You can't force the locals to make decisions. You have to give them easy decisions to make, ones in their own interest." Kaufman's tune changed to a serious note as he continued, "I want all of you lot in my office now." Dom took a deep breath. General Kaufman's office was bland and void of furniture. Every little lisp and wisp of his voice echoed against the hollow-sounding walls. "We have some big changes coming. We're shutting down the base, effective immediately. The rebels have been reported to have weapons that endanger the camp. The war itself is in jeopardy, and we don't know what is going to happen. When we picked you for the Alpha Wolves, we knew you weren't regular soldiers, and there was risk involved. That is why we sealed your records and set up offshore accounts. If something goes wrong, and your government disavows you, that is your insurance policy. Any questions?" The wolves glanced at each other but remained silent. "Good," Kaufman continued. "You're all going out to what we believe is the rebel stronghold. We have intel that they have weapons capable of destroying local and remote cities as well. You'll need to follow everything you've learned up to this date, and I won't be here to help you." His hands were slightly trembling, which was unusual for the general, a stoic man. He dumped a map on the table with a big red circle on it, some satellite photos of a building, and some architectural blueprints. "Do your estimates on the perimeter, number of combatants, and the entry and exit points. Build your plan based on each of your strengths. Adapt to the game as it unfolds. Outside in the workshop is everything you need. Good luck, wolves. Go, now." Just as he finished his last words, the roaring sound of the camp siren rang out. Soldiers began running around as the base was evacuated.